Well, hello, real fans. Welcome. Amanda, I just have to start off by saying, can you believe that we even made it through Red Dawn? I mean, oh my goodness, that one was intense, wasn't it?
It was. It really was.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm sure that I could not have survived that episode without Joey's insight to guide us through all the chaos. Or what is it that you always say about the 80s? It's unhinged.
Unhinged.
Yeah, totally
yes,
unhinged.
That one especially was unhinged.
Yes.
He was such a trooper with that one. He knew so many cool fun facts. But after all that gloom and doom, I'm ready for something a little more fun. But before we jump into the fun, I do want to say both of us sound like we have not been having very much fun.
Or we've been having way too much fun.
Yes, we are both
party throat
recovering from colds, real fans. So it's funny because we both got sick at the same time, but we have not been together.
That's right. That's right. And if we have to, we'll just mute. And if we get a little cough in there, we'll just cough on through it and keep going. But you're exactly right. This week is going to be a totally different vibe. It's going to be full of laughs, just the right amount of mischief and some women's empowerment as well.
I'm already grinning. Let's just say this one's a workplace comedy classic with a twist that had us all cheering. So stick around, real fans. You're going to love where we're heading this time. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Missy. And this is Real Sisters Rewind.
Join us as we go back to the 80s.
Welcome back to Real Sisters Rewind, back to the 80s. If you're joining us for the first time, we're two sisters who love revisiting films from the 80s and reliving all the memories they bring. I'm Missy.
And I'm Amanda. Thank you for tuning in. If you're enjoying our nostalgic movie adventures, please take a moment to give us a 5-star rating, write a review, and share this podcast with your friends. Don't forget, if you send a screenshot of your review to hello@realsistersrewind.com, we'll send you one of our awesome Real Sisters stickers.
Now, today, as we said, we're switching gears from action and suspense to laughs and fun with the 1980 workplace comedy 9 to 5. This movie is packed with wit, charm, a dash of rebellion, and all of those together make it an absolute classic.
Yes, and we are thrilled to have a very special guest with us today. Joining us is Missy's dear friend, and my friend too, and Missy's former coworker, Hester Jane Burnside, and also happens to be one of our biggest real fans. Woo-hoo.
Yes, she is. Welcome, Hester Jane. Welcome. Hester Jane, I guess we could have lived out this movie. We were co-workers and now we're dear friends. And so we're so glad you're here. And one of the reasons we specifically wanted to have you for this podcast is because Hester Jane loves all things Dolly Parton. Don't you, Hester Jane?
Missy and Amanda, I cannot tell you how excited I am to be here. And I might be a little bit obsessed with Dolly Parton. So, number one, I absolutely love your podcast. I love the 80s movies. I think that y'all do a fantastic job. And when you called, or when you and Amanda texted me and said, would you like to be part of the podcast? I immediately said, yes, absolutely. And so I did not even know what 80s movie it was, but I just thought, you know what? 80s, there was not a better decade to enjoy movies.
You're right.
In my opinion.
That's right.
And so it just it was meant to be, because when you texted and said, okay, well, if you're okay with it, we'll do 9 to 5. And I literally almost fell off my chair.
Well, I knew you would be because you're always, putting on social media about Dolly. You're sporting your Dolly Parton hat today, which
Yes,
we
I
will put a
am.
picture up on social of that.
Yes, I am. But I'm just so excited. I absolutely love this movie, and I'm just excited to be here. I feel like 9 to 5 is it's an iconic movie. And I do love Dolly Parton. So if any of you real fans out there have any sort of Dolly Parton connection, like, what is it, like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon,
Uh-huh.
6 degrees of Dolly Parton, please hook me up. All I need is like 15 minutes, pack my suitcase, and I'll head out.
Well, there's 2 degrees of separation right here because our papa knew Dolly when he lived up in the Smoky Mountains, and there's some stories there, but we'll share with you offline.
Okay, good. I heard you talk about that in your last podcast, and my ears just all of a sudden went up, and I thought, oh, okay, maybe I can skip a few degrees, and I've got the connection. Like, I know I'm just, and I feel like we would be good friends, but that's a story for another day. But I do want to give a little background information on how I met Missy and how I met Amanda. Missy and I, if you can believe it or not, taught together 30 years ago. I miss those days, Missy. I miss them so much.
Oh, they were the good old days for sure. What's that office saying? If only we knew they were the good old days when we were in them.
Yes, absolutely. Another thing that is interesting about our relationship is we are obsessed with pop culture.
We
Like
are.
anything pop culture, whether it's American Idol, whether it's
We still text back and forth about American Idol. I've never missed an episode, Hester Jane.
Okay, if I've missed an episode, I've watched it the next day.
Well, then you watched it. You didn't miss it. Yeah.
I know, but like, I remember being at your house on Pin Oak and just coming over to watch American Idol because you shared the same love and appreciation that I did. And
Yeah.
so those really were the good old days. Those really, really were. And I also met Amanda through Missy. And so, Amanda, I feel like you and I have a really big connection because we're both little sisters.
We are.
Yes, we are. And so I just immediately thought you were precious and fun, and I so have enjoyed getting to know you through Missy, and I just feel like both of you are dear friends to me, and I'm just excited to be here.
Oh, we're excited
to have you. And I'm also excited just to say that you are the person Missy can text about American Idol, because that ship sailed for me a long time ago.
But you're the person who introduced it to me, sister, all those years ago.
I know, but I left the bandwagon. Yeah.
Why did you jump ship?
I don't know. I just lost interest. Clarkson, I was like, nobody can beat her.
Well, yes,
Come
you're
on
right.
now.
You're right. Hey, and Missy, I did not do this while I watched, but you were the first one to teach me how to put M&Ms and like sprinkle them on top of my popcorn.
yeah.
Your popcorn.
Oh, yeah, sister.
Yes, and that's how I do it every single time. So,
Yep.
Lots
You're
of
welcome. You're welcome.
Oh, no, thank you so much.
All right. Well, we are so excited, real fans. So grab your coffee or whatever fuels you, maybe your popcorn with M&Ms, and let's rewind to 1980 for the empowering and hilarious 9 to 5.
All right, real fans. December 19th, 1980 was when 9 to 5 first hit theaters. And this workplace comedy, well, It quickly became a cultural phenomenon. And it's no wonder it had everything. It had humor, heart, and a message that still resonates today, right? Women are empowered in the workplace. Do you ladies remember seeing it for the first time?
Okay, well, I'll go first.
Go ahead.
So it was 1980. So, yes, I'm going to go ahead and age myself, and y'all can do the math later. I was 9 at the time. So I'm almost 100% sure I did not see it in a theater. But I am 100% sure that I saw it for the first time on cable TV. So, girls, do y'all remember when like HBO first came out
Oh, yeah.
and Showtime and all of that was through cable TV? So, the only way to be able to get cable TV was to have one of those huge satellite discs in your yard. And so I literally remember waiting for them to pour the concrete slab and put this huge post and a huge satellite disc attached to it. And so you had to go inside and like change the box. And so HBO was like a different channel. And so the like
Oh,
the
yeah.
the satellite would move. No, I mean, I just cannot imagine how far we have come with technology. But
That's hysterical. But it's funny you
yes,
say that, Hester Jane, because so many of the movies we've talked about, I was too young to see in a theater,
hmm
and I caught on HBO.
hmm gosh, y'all, those really were the good old days. I mean, I hate to keep saying that. I really hate to keep saying that, but those were the good old days. But
Well,
yes,
Missy, we had HBO, but we didn't have a satellite.
um, I think we had something similar to a satellite, but it wasn't the big kind where they had to come in and put concrete in, like Hester Jane was talking about. Um, but very quickly
But
we
I know
got
what
cable
she's,
out in the country. Yes, but
yeah, I know
yes,
what she's
we
talking
lived in the
about.
country as well, and it was just like the heavens had opened up when we had more channels than ABC, NBC, and PBS. Right, because people always talk about shows that were on CBS when I was growing up, and I was like, we didn't get CBS
We didn't
out in
get
the
to
country.
yes.
So, Amanda, do you remember seeing it, or you just know you saw it on HBO or something?
Y'all get ready.
oh
Okay.
Everybody,
gosh.
hang on to your hats. This was the first time I have seen
Shut
it all
up.
the way through.
Shut up.
So as I
Oh
was
boy.
watching it, I was like, I mean, I didn't know that I hadn't seen it all the way through until I just watched it all the way through. And then I was
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh,
I've
I
just
had not
seen it
seen
for
this
the
all the way
first
through.
time. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so you're going to have lots to say because it's all fresh on your mind and you got to
Yeah, it was so fun.
experience something old brand new. So I'm going to be excited to hear. And I will tell you girls, I was in 6th grade. I went to the movie to see it with some girlfriends and I have such memories of seeing this movie. I remember thinking it was one of the funniest things I had ever seen in my life. And every time I got a chance to watch it when it came on cable, I would watch it and I would laugh and laugh and laugh. To me, the humor was just off the charts and it just etched itself in my memory. Like I can relate such things in my life to this movie. And it's probably because it was one of those first like big girl movies that I went to that had really strong woman characters as well.
And that song
Oh,
that gotcha.
there there are stories about that song. Let me just say it was the song of choice for the Oak Grove talent show, not of
Sure.
me, but of a couple of people.
Several.
That
Sure.
yeah, in 19 that 81, that next year as we had the talent show, and some people should have hummed it maybe instead, but it definitely
Made its
was
way.
like a big wave. Yes, it was a big wave of pop culture at the time.
Okay, Missy,
Well,
I love how you say, yeah, some people maybe should have hummed it, but that's okay.
Well, there were several years of the talent show where someone sang 9 to 5, and some of them were better than others. So we'll just leave it at that.
Hey, but don't y'all feel that the people, and I know that we'll get into the cast, but I feel like everybody that was cast in this movie was absolutely like it was perfection.
Yeah.
And as I rewatched it, I thought, could someone have done a better job? And the answer is no for me. And I know we'll get into that later, but
Right.
I think it just added to what you said before. Just everything fell into place.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Thinking about the song Missy in the 1981 talent show, when this came out in 1980, it was such a pivotal year.
Yeah. That first new year of the decade.
Yep, new decade. We were saying goodbye to the disco craze of the 70s. Yep. And stepping into a new decade of pop culture and change. And it was a really interesting mix of old and new colliding at this time. And did y'all know that Pac-Man debuted that year?
I knew it was around that time.
Okay, well, people were obsessed with it. It's one of the reasons that arcades became like the hangout spot for kids and teens through the 80s in general.
Yep. Our hangout was prime time arcade. And of course, I didn't play, but I did hang out.
Well, we didn't go to the arcade, but we played Pac-Man at Pizza Hut. Do y'all remember? Every Pizza Hut had the Pac-Man. And while you waited for your pizza, you'd ask your parents or you'd have quarters or whatever it was. Probably, I don't even know if it was quarters then, but you would go sit and play Pac-Man while you waited for your pizza.
Yeah, it was quarters. And remember the song Pac-Man Fever? I've got a quarter in my pocket and I'm headed to the arcade. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, it was a quarter.
I don't know this song.
Oh. Amanda.
I had a pom-pom routine to it for my cheerleading squad, and we had a quarter in my pocket and I'm headed to the arcade. And yeah, it's like, and I'm spending everything I made. I've got Pac-Man fever. You've heard Pac-Man fever. It's driving me crazy. Surely.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
It doesn't ring a bell.
We need a musication of that. We'll work on it.
We'll definitely.
We'll work on
I'll find it. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yes. Absolutely, for sure. Okay, so something really big happened just before the movie was released.
Do tell.
Well, it's a little bit sad, but there is something sweet that came out of it, something that I got to experience. On December the 8th, 1980, brought heartbreak with the murder of John Lennon.
Oh.
Yes. And gosh, I don't want to tear up, so I'm just going to keep forging through. And that was news that like literally it was heard around the world.
Yeah. Yeah. It shook everybody.
It did. I mean, he was such the musician, a humanitarian, just all the things. And so it was a very, very sad time. But I do want to say when I took a trip to New York City a couple of years ago, that was a COVID trip postponed 3 times. And so when we finally got to go, we literally, I don't even think we slept. We went for 6 days nonstop. But y'all, one of the just nicest, sweetest, just thoughtful things we did was go through Central Park. And in Central Park, they have a mosaic, and it's the picture of the word imagine. And it's like beautiful tiles arranged into a mosaic in memory of him. Oh my gosh, yes. I'll have to look it up and text it to y'all. But, it was just one of those days. It was cold, but it was fall and the leaves were falling and the wind was blowing. And the closer you got, it was just silent. Everybody that approached that mosaic was completely quiet and just respectful. I mean, it was definitely an experience, He definitely left a legacy of music for sure. But the number one song on the charts the week of our movie was sung by someone who knows, well, Missy, they may have been one of your in-laws.
Oh, Kenny Rogers.
Yes, Kenny Rogers. And the song was Lady.
Lady, you're my knight in shining armor, and I love you.
Wait a minute. Lady is the knight
I
in
know, I
shining
think I
armor?
did that wrong. I'm
Wait,
your knight in shining armor.
I was like, that doesn't sound like Kenny.
And actually, I think Lionel Richie wrote that song. Or maybe Lionel Richie wrote it, or Kenny Rogers wrote it, and who knows? But it's a great song, and it was number one at that time.
But didn't Lionel Richie do a song?
Yeah. Somehow those are connected.
Me up when I'm down.
Oh, yeah. That's just different.
Yeah. Okay, but anyway, so back to Lady. Yes. Another fun tidbit. I was able to see him at the Monroe Civic Center. And y'all, I literally thought that that was the most amazing thing. I just thought it was great. He was great. Oh, I absolutely. Kenny Rogers is another one of my favorite people. But Missy, I'm really sad it didn't work out with Lenny. So, you know.
If you
Hester
don't know
Jane.
that story, go back and listen to Urban Cowboy.
Hester Jane, when you went to see the Kenny Rogers concert, did you leave your best friend alone to go hop a tour bus with a random roadie?
Okay,
listen. I just want to say this. If somebody's listening, I went to the tour bus to see it, and when he tried to kiss me, I left. So let's don't say like I hopped a tour bus with a roadie without explanation, because that sounds horrible.
But that is what you did.
But for 2 seconds.
Okay. When I heard you say that story, I literally could not stop laughing because of course, when he said he knew Kenny Rogers, who wouldn't go?
Knew him. It was his quote unquote nephew. And to this day, until she told me that story in that episode, I was still telling people, oh, my sister met Kenny Rogers' nephew, Lenny.
Well,
I had no idea.
I think it was him. Probably. Okay, let's change the subject. I want to share something I found when I was doing my research. And I'm excited to share this because I was looking at the Academy Award winners for 1980. And the film that won Best Picture in 1980 was Kramer versus Kramer. And I can't tell you how many times during our rewind that I have already wished that this movie had come out a year later so that we could rewind it. It really was my first big girl movie. And I went to see it with my friend Rhonda, and we sat in the theater, and I was bawling. And I also felt like a really big girl because it was like this adult drama that I was getting to sit in.
That movie is heart-wrenching.
It is.
I absolutely love it. And like Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep were so young.
I know.
Beautiful.
We may have to somehow figure out how to do that, maybe 2 degrees of Dustin Hoffman or something. But it's just an incredible movie.
It is incredible.
It is. It's a great movie.
Well, on People magazine this week, there was another movie featured, Ordinary People, which I've never seen. And the cover had Mary Tyler Moore, Donald Sutherland, and Timothy Hutton.
Okay, confession. I definitely had a crush on Timothy Hutton, just saying.
That's hysterical.
I did.
I recognize him in this picture. I recognize Timothy Hutton, thinking I've seen him in some other stuff. So
I still can't look at Donald Sutherland even as a young man and not think of the Hunger Games.
Oh gosh, yes. Oh yes. President Snow, yes. I think for me, it was the feathered hair with Timothy Hutton. I think it was the feathered hair.
Yeah, he had great hair.
Yeah, he did. Absolutely. Okay, and on TV Guide, we had the cast of Different Strokes. But when you looked inside, there was an advertisement for 9 to 5. And y'all, do you remember getting TV Guide in the mail?
Oh my
Like,
gosh. Every
you-
week I was so excited.
you checked your mailbox and it came in and you opened it up and it listed every channel, every episode of what was to come for the week. And there were some ads mixed in as well, but like, y'all, I mean, I just cannot believe how far we've come with technology.
It used to drive me crazy to be at a friend's house and like we'd want to watch TV and they didn't get TV Guide and they'd like have to go pull it from the newspaper. And I would be like, why do you not get TV Guide? Like I didn't understand.
Everybody got TV Guide. Like I just literally thought everybody got TV Guide.
No.
I
did not.
I forgot that it came out in the paper as well. That's so funny. Okay, so speaking of different strokes, I loved watching that show. Do you remember all of the characters? And of course, Gary Coleman was my favorite, and he gave birth to the iconic line. What you talking about, Willis?
Oh, you took the words right from my mouth. I still say that today to people. And Amanda, I know you do too.
I do too.
How about you say it to your kids?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Y'all, it's so funny. At school, sometimes I'll say, what you talking about, Willis? And like the kids literally look at me like I am from another planet. Like they
have no idea. Yeah.
No, they do not. They do not get it. But really, honestly, go ahead.
Go ahead.
But finding a copy of TV Guide these days, like that would be vintage.
It would be vintage.
You had a vintage find at it would probably be at an antique store. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be. I just want to say I loved Different Strokes so much. And remember when they had the Facts of Life Different Strokes crossover episode?
Yeah, because didn't literally one of the girls from Different Strokes come and stay with the...
Or was it Mrs. Garrett?
Maybe Mrs. Garrett's niece or
Mrs.
something.
G.
Mrs. G. Yeah, you take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. So good, so good.
Yeah, I think Mrs. Garrett was the housekeeper in Different Strokes.
And then she went...
She moved to the Eastland. Remember, it took place at Eastland, Eastland dormitory, and so that was the crossover. Gosh, I loved her. What was her name? Charlotte Ray, I think.
Yes, I think you're right. Yes. Yeah. All right, y'all. Let's talk about fashion for a second. 1980 being the transitional year that it was, you still had like leftover disco influence, right? So we had the flared pants and sequins and like the halter tops, but preppy styles were beginning to creep in. And so you started seeing brands like Ralph Lauren and Lacoste, and they were growing in popularity, although FYI, my mom, Lottie Vance, did not want to buy me the shirts with the symbols on them because she thought it was ridiculous to pay that amount for a cotton shirt with a little polo guy or a little alligator on it. And I will tell you that my sweet Aunt Sis for Christmas one year bought me one of the shirts, except it was a fakie. Okay. And she was so thrilled to give me that shirt. And it was very sweet that she did that. Now, Mom bought me a couple like for special occasions, but I had friends who had like every single color shirt of a polo or an Izod in their closet, and they would double them up and flip up the collar, which I know you remember, Amanda.
When you got your fakie, were you like, was it when I got my fake Cabbage Patch Kid?
A little bit like your fake.
Devastation?
A little bit.
But you had to play it off?
Yeah, but I just want to say it was very sweet. So we'll just keep going. We'll just keep going.
Well, so was my fake Cabbage Patch Kid. I mean, it was so sweet. Yeah. She did, but
yeah,
it was rough.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Like when you are looking forward to something so much and then all of a sudden it's not the thing and
It's
then you
not
have
what you
to,
really wanted. Yeah,
and you just have to dig, baby, you have to dig deep and just say, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much."
you do because you want to be kind and
Yeah.
respectful and appreciative.
Yes, absolutely.
Appreciative, there's the word. Meanwhile, y'all, in politics, you know I have to mention it. That's always my thing.
Oh Lord,
Um,
here we go.
Here she goes.
I don't have to explain it to Hess because she hasn't missed an episode.
Here she
It
goes.
was a huge year, y'all. Ronald Reagan was elected president,
Ooh.
signaling a major shift in our country. There was a mix of optimism and a little uncertainty as we moved into the new decade. There was a lot, like after I watched the movie Reagan, there was a lot of shenanigans going on.
There was a
back then.
lot going on. Well, the film was made on a $10 million budget and it earned over $103 million, making it the second highest grossing movie of the year. And so 9 to 5 came in just behind Empire Strikes Back. I mean, I think that's huge for a comedy. And
That's huge.
It's huge.
and I will tell you
Huge.
what else I learned about 9 to 5. It is rated number 74 on the list of 100 best comedies of all time. So we have good taste.
Absolutely.
That's saying
Mhm.
something. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's a lot of funny movies out there.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, and honestly, yes, it is a movie that still is hilarious today. Okay, so 9 to 5 clocked in at 1 hour and 50 minutes. But honestly, girls, it does not feel long at all because it is jam packed with so many iconic scenes. And literally, it's almost like slapstick, hilarious.
Yes.
It's
But it
like,
works.
but it works. Everything worked in the movie. This is a movie I will watch over and over and over every time. When I see that it's playing on TV, I can catch the last 10 minutes and I already look to see and it's playing again and I'm settled in for the next
That's
2 hours.
hysterical. That's
It's
hysterical.
like wacky comedy with fabulous characters.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, it was rated PG, which was key. It meant the movie was accessible to a wider audience. Families could go together and watch it, even though it tackled some pretty heavy workplace themes as well.
Well, it was written and directed by Colin Higgins and Patricia Resnick. And Colin Higgins also directed it. Well, it was written by Colin Higgins and Patricia Resnick, which I think is kind of cool that there was a woman writer part of the screenwriting because it was so female. It's such a female heavy female story.
Yeah.
So I think that was really valuable. And Colin Higgins also directed the film.
Gotcha.
Now let's talk about the cast.
Let's do, because they're great.
Oh, fantastic.
Jane Fonda. Oh, so stunning and beautiful. Lily Tomlin and Dolly Parton. What an incredible trio, y'all.
Ooh. Do you know this was actually Dolly Parton's first acting role? And supposedly she didn't just memorize her lines, but y'all, she memorized the entire script.
Why do you think she did that? Like she just wanted to know every bit of it?
Probably, but like she's a songwriter and a singer. And so
Yeah.
it probably just made sense to her to know the whole story.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's
so
true.
so the geek of the podcast knows the answer to that.
Oh, let's hear
Okay,
it.
tell me.
Okay, so I was watching some of the extra interviews on the actual DVD, and it was a huge joke around set that like she showed up the first day of filming and she literally had memorized everyone's lines. And so she literally thought that it was like a play that you had to memorize everyone's lines, and she didn't realize that it was going to like flow like a movie, like everybody had their own lines. And so she just memorized it like a play. So I guess
Wow.
she'd be prepared. But that was the joke throughout the whole movie. Everybody, if they forgot their lines, they'd say, "Oh, I'll just ask Dolly. She knows."
That's
Oh,
hysterical.
that's adorable.
Yes,
Well,
I know.
speaking of these incredible women, Jane Fonda actually is the one who came up with the idea for the movie. And she wanted to highlight workplace inequality. You know,
Of
she's
course
quite
she did. She's an
Mhm.
the
activist.
activist. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
And she knew Lily and Dolly would be the perfect co-stars. And what's so fun also, I think, is that Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin went on later to be on the Netflix show together, Grace and Frankie, which is a series that was pretty recent. And I actually watched it like last year, I think.
Is it good?
Yeah.
I've heard great things about it. I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's funny. It's really funny.
Yeah, I did. I saw a lot that came out about that, but I never watched it. But the two of them, I'm sure it was fantastic. I mean, I'm sure that it was. And so let's get to my bestie. Let's get to Dolly because she does deserve a lot of attention, in my opinion. She agreed to do the movie on one condition. She wanted to write the theme song. And y'all, that is a theme. That is like an anthem.
It isn't like an anthem. Yeah.
It is. It is an anthem. It doesn't matter where I hear it or where anyone hears it. It's like a theme song. It's a theme song to women in the workplace.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, it is. It topped the Billboard charts and it even earned an Academy Award nomination, ladies.
I
Yes,
know
it
it made me so mad that year that it didn't win. So I had to see who beat it. I couldn't remember. 9 to 5 lost to the theme song from Fame, which is a great song. But y'all, okay, so here's the good news. It did win the best country song at the Grammys, though.
Yes, it did. Dolly won a Grammy in 1982 as the writer and performer. Plus, she won for the best female country vocal performance.
So good.
And
Yay, Dolly.
I know. Okay, so you two may already know this. Did you know that she came up with the rhythm for the song by, and I'll see if it can pick it up. She would sit there in between takes and she would click her fingernails together.
I had heard that. I saw that on a documentary. Yes.
Yes, and
I could totally see that.
Yes.
Because her nails are, her nails
They're
are
her
something
thing. Yeah.
called. They are a thing. But she called them her typewriter nails, which actually is hilarious because there were so many typewriters in the movie. And she bought nearly her entire wardrobe from the film, and she has them displayed in her museum at Dollywood. God love her. I have never been to Dollywood, and I have not. And I'm very sad. So again, any of the listeners, please reach out to me and help a girl out.
Okay, stop right there.
Okay.
Why don't we have a Real Sisters Rewind convention or trip in Dollywood? How fun would that be? What do y'all think?
I think so.
I mean, give me 10, baby, I'll cut it. Give me 10 minutes to pack my suitcase and I'm there. So see, we could just say that it's in the name of research. We're doing
R&D. That's right. That's right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. A little bit more of Dolly Parton, and then we're going to get into our other characters. She is, I know. I'm
fangirl much, Hess? Fangirl?
I know, but I love how she stayed true to herself. She's got the wig, she's got the makeup, she's got the costumes, but y'all, she's just herself. She does not pretend to be anybody that she is not. She has said in interviews that she has a different wig for every day of the year. So, I mean, she may have 365 wigs. We don't know.
She probably does.
I mean, she probably does. She names all of her wigs. One is called Chunky Monkey, and it refers to her crimped hair. And she's fabulous.
She is fabulous. I love her. Her husband is very rarely ever seen, if ever, right? But she loves him. So, Well, good. Thank you for bringing all of that, our fangirl Hester Jane for Dolly. We loved it. Let's talk about Dabney Coleman.
Oh
He
gosh.
plays the sexist, egotistical, lying, hypocritical bigot boss, which they say those exact words several times throughout the movie. His character is Franklin Hart Jr., and Dabney Coleman was perfect. He played it so well that you loved to hate him. And I have to say, y'all, I never liked him in anything because I didn't like him here.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree.
That's really funny. I don't know if he had that much of an effect on me, but I do agree that you love to hate him for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. Another fun fact, the consolidated office set was meticulously designed to reflect the corporate world of the time. Those beige tones, the endless rows
Yes.
of desks, cubicle-like. It was intentionally drab to highlight just how stifling the environment was.
Yes.
Oh, it was literally just drab and just tan and beige and just ugh, it was. But as I rewatched the movie, y'all, it made me realize how far we actually have come with technology. Uh, just think about it. We've gone from typewriters to laptops. Uh, if you made a mistake, all you have to do now is press the backspace button. But back then, you had to get out your whiteout.
Whiteout or those little sheets that you would put
Yep.
in and take it
Yes.
out by typing the same letter. Oh my gosh,
Yes,
yes.
I know. And like your keyboard was it was the typewriter, it was everything. Like the keyboard and everything was attached.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was the other thing that I thought was funny was when at the end of the day, I can't remember what scene it was, like they had their typewriter covers, like to put on your
Yes.
typewriter at the end of the day.
Oh yeah. They had to leave
Like,
everything just right.
Hey,
serious business.
do either of you I mean, well, I know you do. Do y'all type well? I mean, obviously you do.
Yes.
I actually do not type well.
I
You
do.
don't?
I'm very fast. And I sent a letter to my high school teacher and said, thank you for teaching me something that I use nearly every single day.
Missy, I agree with you. Like that's one of my fondest memories of high school was like setting up my typewriter and you had the little thing, the little stand next to you and you had a book and he would come behind us and like tap our backs if we weren't standing up straight and like using good posture. So absolutely.
Pi
I had,
Daniels was my my
yep.
typewriter teacher. Did she teach you too,
I
Amanda? Pi Daniels?
no. I had typing, but I just kind of
Are
blew
you
it
a good
off.
typer, Hess?
I feel like I was in high school, but now since I do a lot of computer work, I feel like I type fast. But sometimes I don't wear my glasses and then I go back and look and I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing is full of mistakes. But yes, I do type quickly, but then I kind of have to go back and correct
Yeah.
mistakes. So, but you know.
All right, real fans, let's clock in and see how Jane, Lily, and Dolly turn their 9 to 5 grind into the ultimate workplace rebellion in 9 to 5. You're gonna love this.
The movie opens with that fabulous montage of Dolly Parton's theme song that we were talking about, 9 to 5. And you girls know, like we see all the office workers rushing to catch buses, punching in, taking escalators, headed to work. Now, I don't believe any of us ever had that type of morning routine, but you totally feel it, don't you?
What do you mean morning routine where you have to clock in?
Yeah, where you are like beating the streets. Well, I guess you did, Amanda, when you lived in New York for a little while. I wasn't thinking
I
about
did,
that.
and I did. And even though I wasn't beating the streets, I've worked in schools where we had to clock in.
Well, it's
And it
not
was,
just
I
the
mean,
clocking in. The whole montage is them, walking
yeah,
to the bus and catching the bus and taking
yeah.
elevators. Really it's more of a corporate environment,
Yeah.
I guess is what I was
Oh,
thinking.
yeah. For sure, for sure. Mm-hmm.
And they're always checking the clock. They're always like looking at their watch, looking at the clock, and they're running late. And one of the ladies spills her coffee, and it just gives you the sense of rushing to get to work.
Yes.
Well, that's what made me think of the clocking in part, Hester Jane, because I think part of when you have to clock in, you really are being mindful of the time because you know you're clocking in and it's going to check. If you don't have to clock in, I roll in a few minutes late. You know what I mean? It's not as stressful.
Yes. Well, you know, teaching school, we had to sign in. And I swear to you, I would get to school and I would get sidetracked by a parent, a child, or another teacher. And I would end up, it would be like lunch. I'd be like, dang, I never signed in today. I did that so many days. It's ridiculous.
100%. But you
Oh
can't do
my
that when you have to
gosh.
clock in.
You're right. You're right. That's why I'm saying I never felt that pressure. I never clocked in.
Yeah, Amanda and Missy at work, when we forget to clock in or like I'll clock in late, we have to like put our name on the clipboard and they have to go in and manually change it. So we call it the clipboard of shame.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny. That's
Anyway,
so
okay.
funny.
Okay, so after we see all of the rushing around and everybody trying to get to work, we are first introduced to Judy Burnley. She is played by Jane Fonda. Judy is fresh out of a divorce and she is starting her very first job ever. And yes, by her outfit, her buttoned up look, her style of dress, everything screams that this is her first job. She looks completely lost trying to navigate this new chapter of her life, literally and figuratively. She is very, very soft spoken, and that's important to take note of because she's not so soft spoken later in the movie.
That's true. That's true. And you know,
That
it
is very
wasn't
true.
probably very uncommon back in those days for women to have never held a job. So it
Mhm.
made sense
Oh, yeah.
someone was coming into the workplace who had just been a stay-at-home wife or mom.
Mhm.
Hmm. Well, Judy is paired with Violet Newstead, played by Lily Tomlin.
The great.
And yes, and she is a sharp-tongued office veteran who basically runs the show without getting any of the credit.
Yes.
Violet is
Mhm.
quick to warn Judy about the pitfalls of working under the tyrannical boss, Franklin Hart.
Yes. Oh, and Roz, let's not forget about Roz, Hart's loyal admin assistant and office spy. She's
Yeah.
always lurking and ready to report on anyone who steps out of line. And she's like the hall monitor no one ever wanted.
Okay.
Mhm.
Do you remember in the movie that like she spies on all of them in the bathroom?
Oh, yeah.
And she writes all of her notes on toilet paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Like she is literally like the person that literally wants to rat people out.
Yeah,
That's her
she's the
mission.
Snoop, and she is a brown noser to Hart.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, I
my
was going to say
gosh.
she's a kiss up.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Okay, so speaking of Hart, we meet him next, and he is played by the fabulous Dabney Coleman, which I feel like he completely nails the role of the sexist, egotistical, lying, hypocritical bigot.
Yeah.
The introduction scene is classic. So they walk in, and he's given this big, huge speech about teamwork, and he literally falls out of his chair and immediately gets flustered that his manhood has been threatened, and he starts barking orders at Violet.
Yes. Here's a fun fact. When they were filming that scene, Dabney Coleman actually pooted. He farts. And then they all look at each other like, should we keep going or what do we do here? And they did. They just kept going. And that clip is the clip that made it into the movie. So you have to go back and
Stop.
watch how there's a little bit of awkwardness in that scene.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. I absolutely will go back and watch to see where they look at each other. Y'all, that is hilarious. And sometimes the mistakes in the movie are like the best parts because they make it in, and that's what makes it so funny. Missy, I never knew that. That's hilarious. But it does make it even funnier now that I know. So as I said before, I rented the movie, bought the movie on iTunes, and Dabney Coleman was the choice from the start. Lily Tomlin wanted him. The directors wanted him. Everybody said Dabney Coleman has to play the boss. But the studio was very reluctant because he had not been in a lot of major movies. So it literally was down to the wire with filming, and the studio finally caved in and said, all right, let's let him have the part. But I'm so glad they did. He is the ultimate jerk of a boss.
Yes, he is.
Well, Dorley Rhodes, who is played by Hester Jane's bestie, Dolly Parton, is Hart's secretary. And from the start, it is clear that he's got an obsession with her. She handles it with grace and sass, but you can tell she's fed up. She's
she's getting
nice about it. She's getting fed up, but she's nice about it. She needs her job. She wants her job. So she handles it, but she's not into it.
Right. Well, the grind begins, and Judy is sent to the Xerox room to make copies. And this is a famous scene because she's trying to work this huge, like the Xerox room is the Xerox is like the entire room. So the copier is the entire room. And
it's bigger than she is.
It's bigger than she is. It's bigger than my office and my desk right now, in my house right now. And paper starts flying and going everywhere. And about that time, here she is, our first day of the job. She's in the room with this monster Xerox machine. Papers are going everywhere, and Hart storms in yelling at her, any moron can use this machine. And it just breaks your heart. It looks like she's about to cry.
And honestly, Missy, I think she does kind of tear up. And y'all, we've all been there before.
Yeah.
This is so relatable with any kind of job, and you're there and you want to do your best. And then it never fails that the boss comes in and you are totally failing at something. And you just think, why couldn't I have done it right? I just wish it would have been right.
He needs some leadership lessons. We'll just say that.
He does. He absolutely does. Okay, so meanwhile, Violet is navigating her own frustrations. Hart steals her ideas because she was the one that came up with the color-coded filing system, and they give the credit is given to Bob Enright, the man who gets the promotion that she's been working for. Well, that is the last and final straw for Violet. So the next scene, we see that she's at home telling her son all about it. And what does he tell her to do? Well, he's a teenager, and he tells her he's going to roll her a joint.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I know, which is just a little foreshadowing for one of the most iconic scenes in the movie, which will take place later as we go through. Okay, and there were two things when I watched the scene. Did you notice that she was working on a garage door opener after after all of these years? It never dawned on me, and I thought, oh, that's why she's very good at fixing a garage door opener.
Yeah, some foreshadowing there.
And this was just a little thing that I saw in the garage. There was like a little sign that was cocked sideways, and it said safe driving. And I thought, oh, well, that's hilarious, because there's a huge driving scene where Violet is, let's just say that she is not a good driver.
For sure. Well, and then there's Dorley, who's dealing with this horrible feeling that no one likes her.
That breaks my heart.
Yes.
That breaks my heart.
Awful.
Yes.
Because she is just the sweetest, like trying to handle everything appropriately, doing everything right.
She keeps asking Judy to lunch and all of this.
Yes. And she realizes that there are false affair rumors floating around. Like people think she's having an affair with Hart. When she confronts Hart about it, she threatens to turn him from a rooster into a hen with one shot. The women are all reaching their breaking points, and it's hilarious when she says that. Like, her country is just so authentic right there.
Oh, it is.
Oh my gosh, yes, that is one of the best lines from the movie. Okay, so I do have to give a little shout out to Margaret. She was the office lush.
Oh, I loved her.
I know. And so I think in the movie, I think Violet storms out first and she, says, I've had it with this. I'm leaving. And so she heads off to the local bar, which is, I think, called Charlie's or
Yeah,
something.
down to Charlie's.
And then Dora Lee storms out. And then Judy, of course, Miss Naive, this is just terrible. I can't believe this has happened. I've got to go tell them. And so Margaret, after they leave, after every woman leaves, she looks at them and says, "Atta girl."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Margaret reminds me of Meredith from The Office.
Yes. Yes, Amanda. Yes, she does. And
Like the whole time I was like, she's got a little Meredith vibe.
she's the Meredith character. I love it. Well, the turning point comes when Violet, Dora Lee, and Judy bond over drinks at the bar. They're venting about Hart, and the ideas for revenge start brewing.
Yes, they do. Do you feel like, I feel like this was like the very beginning of like the start of them bonding together?
Yeah,
Like just
absolutely.
like, we share something in common. Just
They're a bitching and a bonding.
that absolutely they are. Okay, so remember, Violet's son has given her a little gift. And so as Violet reaches into her purse to pay the tab, she finds the joint.
Oh, Lord.
That's right. And that leads to the Maui Wowie pot party at Dora Lee's house. It's hilarious with each woman imagining how they're going to take down, or it's not how they're going to, but how they would, hypothetically,
Right.
take Hart down. And you get this like fantasy montage, like each one of them, we get to see their fantasy, how it would play out. And Judy's has a hunting fantasy. And Dora Lee is hog tying Hart, and Violet imagines herself as Snow White poisoning his coffee. And it's all super absurd, but really, really funny and perfect.
Yes.
Yes, this part in the movie was it was like you said, Missy, it was rated PG, and it was a family show. Like kids, when they did the dream when Violet was Snow White and they had all the little cartoon characters, the kids loved that part because it was like animated. But the scene is so funny to me because all of their takedowns of Hart are literally completely opposite of the characters that they played in the movie. Okay, so, Violet is really pretty much no nonsense. And then she dreams that she's Snow White with this angelic voice and all of these animals around her. Judy, buttoned up, prim and proper, is the bounty hunter. And, my Dolly just stayed true to her country roots, and her takedown is roping Hart and reeling him in and hog tying him, and she's ready to roast him over an open spit. And her cowgirl outfit was fabulous.
Yeah, I don't think Dolly can be anything but authentic.
Well, Missy, I mean, that's one of the things that I love most about her. She's just herself.
Yeah.
And the Maui Wowie scene, the ladies actually kind of like practiced that beforehand. So they all got together and went on a little beach trip and like they rehearsed it. Of course, they couldn't really smoke pot or marijuana, of course, as you film. So it was actually dried lettuce leaves. And so
funny.
I just thought it was hilarious.
That's a fun fact.
It is a fun fact.
Well, go ahead,
Missy,
Amanda.
I wanted to ask something real quick. I thought it was interesting. I'm glad you brought that up, Hester Jane, about the cartoon part, the animated part, because I thought it was really good. It felt like I was for a moment stuck in a little Disney movie. I guess my point is at the time, I bet that was like really cool. Cause remember when the bird like brings the spoon over and it's the real spoon. And I don't know, it was a little bit like Enchanted,
It's a very great part of the movie. Do y'all know what it reminded me of? Amanda, you may not, but Hester Jane, it reminded me of the Christmas videos that we used to always do for our faculty Christmas parties. And we did a pun on Jaquita Lovelace, who had she was the sweetest thing and had all the animals in her room. And so we did a kind of a a shtick about Joquita being Snow White with all the animals in a room. So I think of that every time I see that.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh my gosh, I literally did not even think about that. Missy, that is hilarious. Hey, also, I think that was one of the very first scenes that they filmed, and Violet or Lily Tomlin, like she said that she struggled with the scene because like she was having to like hold her hand and like talk to her hand and imagine that like a little bird was there, and she really did. Like at first she was like, y'all, this is not going to work. We're going to have to change my dream sequence because it's just not.
Well,
But
it worked.
I know, absolutely
It was
did.
great.
Well, the next day, that is when things begin to spiral out of control. Violet's distracted and frustrated at work, and Hart tells her to go get him another cup of coffee. And she accidentally really does put rat poison in his coffee instead of sweetener. But she leaves the office, and before he can drink it, his chair malfunctions again. Remember, y'all said it fell over in that first scene, and he flies over and knocks himself out, and so he's out cold, having looked like he drank the coffee.
Which I totally would think that as well. Well, after that happened, Dorley kind of heard a ruckus or a disturbance. And so she runs in and she finds him. So she calls the ambulance and she rides with him to the hospital. But when Violet finds the rat poison by the coffee maker, y'all, she literally, when I tell you she goes off the rails, she goes off the rails into a panic, believing that it was the poisoned coffee that must have caused Hart's blackout. So Violet and Judy rush to meet Dorley at the hospital, and they overhear a doctor pronounce someone dead from poisoning.
I love
and,
this.
and they all assume that it is Hart. So Violet literally panics. And what does she do? She steals the body. And it leads to one of the funniest sequences in the film.
Okay, I have to tell y'all this real quick. When I told you that I laughed so hard at this movie, I have memories of it. This scene is the scene that is just ingrained in my memory of me thinking it was the funniest thing I had ever seen in my entire life.
It is really funny.
Yes, it is. I mean, like the body, they wheel the body out. He has the toe tag on his toe.
Gosh, I
and
know.
he's covered up with the sheet. I mean, she
It's
literally,
hilarious.
she panics. She literally panics.
And when somebody comes up to talk to her, she's like, I'm a doctor. Why am I talking to you?
I know it.
It's really funny.
Oh,
Well,
it was, go ahead.
I was just going to say, after she is panicking and she steals the dead body, she ends up getting to her car and putting the dead body into the trunk. And she's determined she's going to sink it with cement in the river. And that car scene, if you thought the hospital scene was chaotic, the car scene really gets chaotic.
Yes, it is very chaotic. They did do a lot of the filming at night, obviously. Thank God. No one was on the road at the time that they filmed. And so I thought it was hilarious. Like in the back of my mind, I thought, oh, yeah, she should have been a safe driver. So that's why the safe driving sign was in her garage. And it was just hilarious to me because like she was reckless, like panicked and like slinging both of them across the car. It was hilarious.
And when Violet crashes while arguing with the others because of her reckless driving, they have to pull the bumper off the tire because they hit something and the bumper sticks into the tire. So Dorley opens the trunk to get a crowbar to help with the job. And she realizes that it's not Hart's body in the trunk. So
I love how in this part they're like, can you come here for a second? Like totally calm, right? Come here just a second.
Come here for just a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. They decide that they have to return the body, but not before Judy has her first real moment of assertiveness, yelling, "Shut up!" at all the others.
Because it's like chaos.
It is. It's like chaos. And like she says, shut up. And then she literally like slams the trunk, like she slams it shut. And then I think she kind of scared herself, like, oh my gosh, what did I just do?
Yeah.
But after all of the chaos, at the end of the scene, they return the body, they cover it up with a sheet, and they park it in the restroom. And it's hilarious because the cleaning lady comes in and like one of the arms is sticking out of the body, and you can see her and like she kind of slinks back, kind of going backwards. And then she leans out and tells her coworker, hey, Vera, we got another stiff in the John.
Yeah, like it happens all the time. That was funny. All right. So the next morning, Hart shows up back at work, completely fine. But Roz, as we talked about earlier, the snoop, the spy, has overheard the women discussing the night's events from the night before. Hart uses this information to blackmail Dora Lee into spending some time with him, demanding that she spends the night or he'll report her for attempted murder. He'll report all of them.
I know. And so, well, you know Dora Lee, honey, she is not having one bit of that. She literally springs into action. She gets the telephone cord, rips it out from the phone. She hog ties him with the phone cord, and she calls Judy for backup so she can go and find Violet. But when Hart tries to escape, Judy grabs Dora Lee's handgun and fires a warning shot, officially stepping into that power.
Yes. And I know you ladies noticed it, but I have to say that each of those things that just happened was a little snippet from their Maui Wowie party dream, right? It was the foreshadowing that was now here from their
Yes.
crazy ideas.
I know. I love how like all of the snippets, even though they dreamed it, they actually came true in real life in the movie.
Yep.
Well, after the office is closed, the ladies take Hart home to tie him up there, since his wife Missy is out of town, and they begin to make their plan. While looking through his office, the women make a startling discovery.
Dun dun dun.
Yes, he has been embezzling money from Consolidated through a shady side operation at the Ajax warehouse that we heard a little bit about before.
And one thing I'll say is that his wife was named Missy, and that was the first time I'd ever really heard of someone else like on TV or movies being named Missy, and I loved that when I was in 6th grade. But anyway, Violet is quick thinking, and she kicks into gear and decide that they have to blackmail him into silence about what happened the night before, but they have to wait for the invoices to come in that will prove his crimes. And so since the regular ropes that they've got him tied up with aren't going to last the 4 to 6 weeks that it's going to take to get all of the invoices, they've got to decide on how they can keep him contained. So they go shopping and they come up with a contraption of chains, a hanging gliding suit, ropes, a dog collar, and that garage door motor.
Yes. Yeah. Y'all remember Violet is great at fixing a garage door motor. So it made sense to put it in the movie.
It did. The whole scene is completely ridiculous, but also quite brilliant and
Clever.
Really cunning and clever. Yeah.
I know what I thought was so funny about this, and I've said this before, because as technology has progressed, we are such now like people of we want it right now. There's no no patience, no wait time, like instant gratification.
Yes.
Everything's just at a touch of your hand. And this was so funny to me that they had to wait 4 to 6 weeks
to get a document.
The documents that they needed, because now it's like, oh my gosh, it's Sunday. I've got to wait till tomorrow morning. Oh, it's just like everything is so fast. So that was really funny. That was really funny to me. A real sign of the times for sure.
Gosh, Amanda, I never thought about that. I totally agree with you on that. We absolutely just like want things instantly. Yeah, and they had to wait like over a month. It was that part was funny in the movie. And not only do they manage to keep Hart under control, but at this time, Hart is supposedly in the office, but he's not in the office. And so they manage to completely transform the office physically and productively. And they changed the office from that drab, tan, and brown, gross, depressing colors to a bright, vibrant workplace.
Yes, and they implement flexible hours so employees can finally balance their work and home lives, because a lot of these employees we see are women that are trying to also be moms and wives and take care of their families. So on-site daycare makes it easier for these working parents, especially women in the office, like I said, to stay focused and productive. I do think it's funny, though, how they were just able to make these adjustments so easily. Just like, oh, we're going to start a daycare in the office. No biggie. But the best thing I think that came out of this was the equal pay. It's like they just created this dream workplace overnight, which was really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Okay, but we cannot forget that, Dora Lee signs all of the memos. She can perfectly recreate Hart's signature, and she signs his name off on all of these memos. I love how after every positive memo, they show it going out to everybody in the office that Hart and Dora Lee have signed. And y'all, the music sequence, I love it because it's like piano music and it's like 80s kind of synthesizer music. It was just totally 80s to me. Like, I just thought that was funny.
That is cool. And you girls know I love leadership. And under these ladies' leadership, I mean, all these changes that you were just talking about, Amanda, the staff really starts to thrive, don't they? I mean,
Yes.
The atmosphere at work, not only did the change visually from the drabs to the vibrant, but people are smiling. There's collaboration. They're actually like enjoying their work. And even you talked about Hester Jane Margaret, the office lush. She's sober now thanks to another program they implemented, the new rehabilitation program. And so what we got to see is the office goes from this oppressive, micromanaged nightmare under Hart to this thriving collaborative environment. And it's great to see those changes while Hart is literally like hanging out and eating leftovers.
Like literally hanging because like in some parts of the movie, he tries to escape and they hit the button and the motor goes up and he is literally like flying in the air like I don't even know how to describe it. Like he's
like a hang glider, but
he is. He's like
from the garage door opener.
That was another thing that the kids thought was like really, really funny. Like they wanted to watch that scene over and over. But like any good thing, the good times just cannot last forever. So just as it seems like everything is falling into place, Hart's wife, Missy, comes back from her cruise and unknowingly ruins their plan. Hart convinces her that he's trying out some kind of newfangled exercise program.
Yeah.
And so he sends her off to a hotel for a week.
Yeah. And I thought it was funny too, because I'm like, at that moment, I started to think, is Missy like, are they trying to make her character like she's dumb? Because she totally is.
Yes,
like, okay.
I totally think so. I think they're totally trying to make her out like an airhead.
That was funny. But when Missy calls Dora Lee, this was another one of the parts where I was like, this Missy character, she calls Dora Lee to thank her for sending her the flowers. While she was away, the ladies start to panic.
They realize she's back.
They know she's back. Yep.
They do. And y'all, that scene, it always gets me because throughout the movie, I was rooting for them like they're going to pull it off. They're going to pull it off. They're going to be able to they're going to be able to do everything right and everything's going to be wonderful. And I really thought that they would be able to pull off the ultimate kidnapping and that Hart would really get what was coming to them. But they know Hart has been free for a few days. And you can bet he has been scrambling to cover his tracks as fast as possible.
Yeah, and he does. He manages to replenish the Ajax warehouse with the inventory he sold, erasing any evidence of the embezzlement that they were trying to prove.
And things get tense because the ladies are on the verge of being busted. And sure enough, when they go up to Hart's office, he's there and he's ready to call in the authorities. But then we get the ultimate curveball because we see Mr. Tinsworthy enter, the company chairman. He's showing up unannounced, catching everyone off guard.
Okay, and did you notice that, like, when he came in, that, like, he was marching into, like, a drum cadence?
Oh, yes, yes.
I mean, and it was, like, serious business. And so when I rewatched the scene, I kept thinking, gosh, Tinsworthy looks like somebody. He reminds me so much. Okay,
yes.
who? Any guesses?
I thought Colonel Sanders.
Yes. He totally looks like Colonel Sanders.
Yes.
Oh, now that you say it, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, he absolutely does. But I thought he played the perfect, like, chairman of the board, the person in charge. I thought he was great. And this part of the movie is such a twist because Tinsworthy has had his own spy on the side and is there to give kudos and applause to Hart, of all people, because there's been a 20% increase in productivity. And they assume that he has done everything. But the irony is just, oh my gosh, it is absolutely delicious. Hart has been scheming and lying, and now he's being rewarded for changes that he actively tried to stop. I love this scene so much because Hart is basically grasping at straws to try to explain all of the positive changes that have taken place.
He's like stuttering and he can't get his words out.
Yeah, he's like fumbling and stuttering, and he's like, Violet,
yes.
And she takes over, of course, the good person that she is, and she explains everything. But I thought that was good validation for being looked over for that promotion.
Oh, yeah, it was a good moment for her. And then the cherry on top, Tinsworthy decides to reward, quote unquote, Hart by shipping him off to Brazil to oversee not just a quick little project, but a multi-year project. And you can see Hart's face fall as his plan to reign control collapses. And not to mention, he does not want to go to Brazil. It's the ultimate karma moment. And it's so satisfying to watch him get exactly what he deserves.
I love as the elevator closes, he's like, Brazil, I can't do that. And Tinsworthy says something like, I ain't the kind of a boy that takes no for an answer. And like, you can just see the doors close and Hart is like, oh my gosh, it's hilarious. And so then we see the girls celebrating in Hart's office by toasting with a glass of champagne that Tinsworthy has brought to Hart. So they got his champagne.
They were doing the champagne toast. And then the epilogue is the perfect ending because we find out that Violet becomes a VP. Judy finds love with the Xerox repairman, which is hysterical.
I know.
And Dora Lee pursues her dream of being a country music star. And Hart, well, he gets abducted by a tribe of Amazons, never to be seen again.
Missy, you love a good epilogue. So I
do, because I like to know what happens to my characters that I've connected with.
Yeah, I knew that you were going to love that part. It's so, so good, y'all. I enjoyed it so much. And I'm so glad that it was on our list because, like I said, I just thought that I had seen the movie all the way through, but I never did until this rewatch. So here is where we have to have our discussion of how we think it measures up as far as, does this film stand the test of time? How
So
do we feel
I'll
about
go
it
first.
now?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I will say I'm just going to say yes. I know we've loved this episode, so I'm not going to draw it out. Yes, it measures the test of time. It's hilarious. It's empowering, and
And the message is still true
the
today.
message is still true today. Absolutely.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And look, the song, Dolly Parton song 9 to 5, that theme song is, I know we say this word all the time, iconic, but an anthem. Y'all both said that at the beginning. It is an anthem. As soon as you hear that music, you're in it. Like, everybody knows that song, and it is truly an anthem.
Oh, Amanda, I completely agree with you. The song to me is iconic, and it is still popular after all of these years, and it will still continue to be such a popular song. Y'all, can you believe that movie? Okay, that it was 1980. Y'all, how many years ago was that? 44?
Lord, I think so.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that would make
44.
sense because I'm 48.
Holy, oh my goodness. But I do think that the movie stands up 100%. I just love how relatable the characters still feel. All of them, Judy, Violet, Dorley, they're all having to navigate challenges that are so relevant today. I love how their friendships were formed in the movie.
Yes. In the end, it really becomes about the friendship, doesn't it?
Yes, really, yes, absolutely, it does. And I thought about this. There's a lesson that I know that I can relate to because I've done this before. I absolutely. That sometimes we're very quick to judge people, like based on their looks or based on something that we may have heard about them before you actually get to know them. But once you share a common ground, you can just bond on that level no matter how different you are.
Yes. And I think that we saw all of that probably in our teaching careers. We saw a lot of that where you don't know what to expect with the new teacher in town. And then next thing you know, they're your besties.
Yeah. We're all more alike. We are all more alike than we are different.
So good.
Oh, I love that, Amanda. God, Amanda, you always come in with like the good little zingers and like
yes,
the little.
She does.
You do. You
Yes, she
give all
does.
like the thoughtful insight on things. So yes, it's just a feel good movie, but it also tackles really big topics. But the balance is just so hard to pull off. But they nailed it.
They did. I totally agree. And Hester Jane, we can't thank you enough for joining us for this episode, your insights, and just having you here. It's been an absolute joy. We've enjoyed every second of it, haven't we, sister?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. It's been so much fun.
Missy and Amanda, I cannot thank you enough. I was so excited when you asked me to be part of the podcast. And I love the movie, and I've had so much fun reliving every moment and diving into it with you. So thank you so much for letting me be part of the Real Sisters crew for a day.
Oh,
You'll have to do it again.
Yes.
We'll have to get you back in.
Baby, you just let me know.
We will. We'll put you in the rotation.
Okay, good.
All right, real fans, if you haven't watched 9 to 5 like me, maybe you think you've watched it and you really haven't, go do it. It's the perfect mix of laugh out loud moments and feel good ending that will leave you cheering for these incredible women. Seriously, make it your next movie night.
And now, as always, it's time for some clues for our next movie. Let's see if you can guess what's coming next. Hester Jane, you'll have to see if you can figure it out, but don't say it.
Okay.
All right. Clue number 1. This movie features one of the most iconic, there's that word again, lawnmower scenes in cinematic history.
Amanda, you had me at lawnmower. Oh my gosh, I have a feeling I know what movie you girls are doing next, and it is one of my favorites from the 80s.
Hester Jane, you always say that. Every time.
I know, but it really
She's
is.
like us. She loves them. Okay, clue number 2. It's a story where appearances can be deceiving and popularity comes with a price.
And clue number 3, it's the perfect pick for Valentine's week, showing us that sometimes the most unexpected people can steal our hearts.
Think you got it? Tune in next week to see if you're right. We can't wait to dive into this one with you.
And please take a moment to like, subscribe, share, and follow the podcast with your friends and fellow movie lovers. Let's keep the rewind rolling.
Woo-hoo. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye, y'all. Thanks,
Bye,
Hester
y'all.
Jane.
Bye, real fans. Love you guys.